Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we're going to be going over systems of linear equations, but this time in word problem context. Just wanted to say a quick thank you for 1,000 subscribers. Yeah, that's really nice to see. We're going to be continuing on this SAT math journey, and if you want to see more of this content, make sure to subscribe and like the video. Let's get into it. So our first question here, we have some variables. They give us a system of equation. They give us a paragraph here, and we're going to be interpreting one number to see what it means in this real world context. So the given systems of equations relates M, the number of shirts Amara owns, and P, the number of shirts Phil owns. Which of the following is the best interpretation of the number 7 in the system? So let's just take a quick look here. So if we just replace the variables for what they mean, that first sentence roughly translates into the number of shirts that Mara owns plus the number of shirts that Phil owns is 23. So we're just adding our number of shirts together. So Mara's shirts plus Phil's shirts is 23 shirts. So that's just a real world context that we're going to have to using in order to find this interpretation. So that's with the first one. But now we can see that if we take the number of t-shirts that Mara has and we subtract 7, we have the number of t-shirts that Phil has. Meaning that Mara has 7 more t-shirts than Phil, and Phil has 7 less t-shirts than Mara, which is equivalent to answer choice A. Mara owns 7 more shirts than Phil does. Definitely don't get confused with this subtraction sign and think it's less or the other way around. We need to understand that if we're subtracting a number from something and it's equaling another number, well, this number had to be larger to start off with. For example, two numbers that make this true, 43 minus 7 is 34. We can obviously... No, it's not 34. It is 36. And we can see that here, 43 is the larger number. It is 7 more than the 36. So we need to think in that context in order to get these answers correct. Let's move to our next question. Ashanti has been acting for A years. Diana has been acting for D years. Ashanti has been acting 1.5 times as long as Diana has, which is also 4 years longer than Diana has been acting. So those two statements that I underlined are going to be our two equations. We can see that Ashanti has been acting for longer, so with our first one, 1.5 times as long as Diana has. So it's basically 1.5 times Diana's acting years is going to be equivalent to Ashanti's acting years. And then we can see here 4 plus Diana's acting years gives us Ashanti's acting years. And we can manipulate these, move them around a little bit to find our answer, which is answer choice A. Matches them. Yep, A equals 1.5D, and A equals D plus 4. A is the correct answer here. So it's really important to be looking out for our keywords that mean operations, like plus meaning addition, times meaning multiplication, so on and so forth. On to our next question here. Dan and Makiko started doing their homework at the same time. Switch to our pen here. At the same time. It took Dan twice as long to finish his homework as Makiko did. If Dan also took 40 minutes longer than Makiko did, which of the following systems of equations could be used to determine D, the amount of time? Okay, the rest of the word problem is irrelevant because we have enough information to form out two equations. So this first sentence, it took Dan twice as long to finish his homework as Makiko did, which means if we have Makiko's number and we multiply it by 2, finding twice Makiko's number, then we find Dan's number. Doing capital letters here, I know it's lowercase, but 2m equals D, that is our first expression here. And now we have Dan also took 40 minutes longer than Makiko did. So if we have Makiko's value and we add 40 to it, then we're going to find Dan's value. And that's all we needed to do here. So D equals 2m, and D So D equals 2m and D equals m plus 40. Answer choice B is the correct answer. On to our last question here. Very similar to the first question format, we are given our equations at the start and we're trying to find what a number represents. So Rosanna and Ty have profiles on the same social media website. The given systems of equations describes R, the number of followers Rosanna has, and T, the number of followers Ty has. What does the number 380 represent? So we can see here that Rosanna's followers minus Ty's followers is 380. That's what we're going to be focusing on since we're looking at that number 380. And then subtraction, we should know this. Keyword for subtraction is difference. And the only answer choice that involves anything with subtraction is actually answer choice C. And we can, once we look at it more, we can see how obvious it is. The difference in the number of followers Rosanna has and number of followers Ty has. Number of followers Rosanna has is represented by the variable R. Number of followers Ty has is represented by the variable T. And the difference between those, it just means we're doing R minus T. So that's what 380 means. The correct answer is C. Okay, this was the first video in this skill. We're going to be going over our medium difficulty level later this afternoon. Stay tuned for that video. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and have a fantastic day. Goodbye.